evening, ladies and gentlemen. We have a change of venue tonight because I made a boo-boo. I deleted the file that had our worksheet on it. So you get now hear the worksheet from my backyard, where it's much more comfortable. So for Sunday the 24th, the worksheet today is going to take us into the Old Testament, where we're going to be looking at a principle that we covered Tuesday night with our men's Bible study. And I feel like God was speaking to me some very specific things from my life that I believe could also correlate into the lives of others. So, if you'll bear with me, for the men especially who are in our men's Bible study Tuesday night, I apologize for covering the same ground, but I think it's necessary to do so for the benefit of the whole church. We'll be looking back particularly at the storyline of Nehemiah with the prophecy of Malachi. And some of you might be saying, why are we doing that? Well, historically speaking, Nehemiah and Malachi are related. So one of the first things I want you to do is to find them and understand why are they so far separated in the Bible if they're in the same storyline? That's the first question. Second of all, what does the name Malachi mean other than one of my favorite little people in the entire church? All right? Malachi 3:13 through 15 is going to be the key of our study here today. These are words, it's the seventh charge that God levies against the nation of Israel in the book of Malachi. And there's some very key phrases inside of it. We're going to focus on the seventh, but I want you to go through all seven of them and get a feel for what God is specifically saying to the people of Israel. And they're all listed out here. Malachi 1:2, Malachi 1:6, Malachi 1:7, 2:17, 3:7, 3:8, and finally 3:13. The key phrase here is, what do we gain? This is the mentality of the people of Israel as God levies the final charge against them in one of the last recorded words from God for the nation of Israel for 400 years. And their phrase to him is, what do we gain by following you? And this is a real indicator of the heart of many people with regard to how they view their relationship with God, as though it's a co-equal transaction that they need to consider carefully. And when we realize we bring nothing to the negotiating table, that kind of makes it absurd. So there's something inherently wrong with the people's concept of worshiping God. And what is that, and what is wrong with that with regard to worshiping God for personal gain? The big question is how is their motivation any different from our motivation? So if someone were to ask you, why do you worship God? Would your answer include something different than what God does for me? Back page of the document, we're going to start looking out because this question of what do we gain splits off into two categories. What do we gain by carrying out your requirements is the first question they ask. What do we gain by carrying out your regulations? Worship for them was a series of checking boxes. We know that that is not what God intends. Worship is obedience for the sake of honoring him, not satisfying our flesh. So what's wrong with their concepts? Second of all, how can we worship God in a way that honors him, and is obedience precluded from that? The second thing that's asked is, what do we gain by going about like mourners before the Lord Almighty? This is a phrase that's, I think, ties in well with Nehemiah chapters 8 and 9. And so if you have time, you can go back and read through that passage together. That would be outstanding to give you context of what it means to go about like mourners. There's context for this. Read through that. It's an indication of great sorrow or repentance in this particular passage. But the people's repentance is shallow, as we're going to find here in the response in Malachi. With that in mind, I want you to look at 2 Corinthians 7, 8 through 11, and find out what God's desire for true repentance is, because in the New Testament is what it's identified. You're going to see a contrast between the people's ideas and God's. I hope this is a blessing to you and to your family in preparation for the sermon here coming up in a couple minutes.